So we are done with the relevant anatomy for respiratory system. Now let's go to relevant physiology. Detailed discussion of respiration physiology is on the older videos. In this video we will discuss only about the parts that are clinically important. So first is this, the definition of airway, the classification of airway, that is into conduction zone and respiratory zone. So first you should know upper and lower respiratory tract. So upper respiratory tract is up to cricothyroid cartilage of the larynx, and below that it is lower respiratory tract. Then for the other division of air that can be done physiologically, that was anatomical division. Physiological division is conducting zone or respiratory zone. So conducting zone is the area whose function is only to conduct the airway from atmosphere towards the lung tissue. Respiratory zone is the area where the lung is being exchanged with the blood. So there are total 23 divisions in the airway. You have to remember this. 0 is trachea, 1 to 16 is the conducting zone, which has the bronchi. Primary is for each side lung, secondary is for each lobe, tertiary is for each bronchial segment, and terminal bronchioles. This is conductive zone. 17 to 23 is respiratory zone, which is respiratory bronchioles and alveolar ducts, alveoli, each one. Okay. So 0 trachea, 1 to 16 conducting zone, which has bronchi, primary, secondary, tertiary, and terminal bronchioles. Then 7 to 23 is respiratory zone, which is respiratory bronchioles and the alveolar ducts and each alveoli. Okay. So air present in conducting zone. So anytime there is always air that is present in the conducting zone, which is around 150 ml, and it is called the dead space. The conducting zone is called dead space because it cannot take part in perfusion of the gases. So this is called dead space, and the volume there is 150 ml, which is called dead space volume. So and respiratory zone is the area of gases exchange and the perfusion of the gases. So then another thing is this conducting airways, that the conducting zone is lined by pseudo-stratified ciliated columnar epithelium. Pseudo-stratified ciliated columnar epithelium. Then other thing you should know about this is, okay, surfactant. So there are two types of pneumocyte. Type 1 pneumocyte, that is simple. This is discussion. Just focus on this surfactant. Okay, this is more important in pedia, less important here. Just know that surfactant counters the surface tension provided by the water droplets in the alveoli. Okay, so surfactant is made of lipoprotein. Lipid is of two types, which is from this is lecithin mostly and sphingomyelin some. So clinically we do is fetal lung maturation test, in which we check the LS ratio, which normally should be more than 2. If this is less than 2, that means the surfactant is immature. Then the bedside test for lung maturity is formation of bubbles. So we will take just some amniotic fluid in a container, shake it. If the bubbles are formed, that means lipid form bubble, that means surfactant is present in the amniotic fluid. This is more important in pedia. Just know that lipoprotein to present lecithin, sphingomyelin, LS ratio normally is more than 2. And function of surfactant is, I already discussed, they counter the surface tension which is provided by the water molecules in the alveolar surface, and surfactant will thus prevent collapse of the alveoli. Okay, all this is important for pedia. Now comes to mechanism of breathing. So mechanisms of breathing. So you should know that, just know basic detail is present in the physiology video. Just know that there is transpulmonary pressure, which is difference of intra-alveolar pressure minus intrapleural pressure. Just know basic. The important thing here is this. Okay. So how is intrapleural pressure created? So anytime the parietal pleura is attached to the thoracic wall, okay, and its tendency is to go inside. This is the visceral pleura which attached to the lungs, whose tendency is also to collapse on its own due to the elastic recoil of the alveoli. So anytime this pressure is towards inside, that is it's negative. So the pleural pressure is anytime at rest is -2. When the inspiration occurs, the chest wall expands, and its tendency to collapse increase more. Same with the parietal. This is with the parietal pleura. Same with the visceral pleura. As the lungs expand, the tendency to collapse due to increased elastic will increase. So this will further increase on the minus side, that is on the collapsible side. So it becomes -7. Then as expiration occurs, it again come back to -2. And intrapulmonary pressure is 0 at rest. Then as the volume of thoracic cavity increases, the pressure falls, and as the air goes in, inspiration occurs, the pressure increases, and as expiration occurs, pressure again comes to 0. So don't focus much on this, just know this. This is transpulmonary pressure, this is thoracic volume, this is called V by P curve. Okay, so V by P curve is important for physiology because it decides the static compliance. So what static compliance mean? So static compliance is basically the the adaptability, or the, you can just say that it is the how much the lung is adaptable, how much the lung is static compliance can be defined as how much the lung is wanting of inflation, that is static compliance. Okay, so factors affecting static compliance: elastic recoil pressure, so which is decreased in emphysema, because in emphysema the alveolar membrane is damaged, so there will be less elastic recoil. Okay, so for breathing, what we have to counter? First we have to counter surface tension, which is taken care by surfactant. Second, we have to counter the elastic recoil. Okay, so elastic recoil, bro, just go to physiology video for this detailed explanation, man. This is bullshit. You should know this hysteresis loop. So all this fucking bullshit. Hysteresis loop was not present in the physiology video. So during expiration, this is our during expiration, this the V by P curve, this is during expiration. During inspiration, the V by curve is like this, somewhat changed, because during expiration we are not countering the ERP, but during inspiration we have to counter the ERP, that is elastic recoil pressure. So there is the change. And the hysteresis loop is the area between this inspiration and expiration V by curve is the hysteresis loop. So dynamic compliance is the wanting of the lungs to expand during when the air is going in and out, that is its dynamic state is when there is no air coming in and out, is static compliance. So dynamic compliance considers into static compliance and resistance provided by the airways, resistance provided by airways to the airflow. So the condition which increase static compliance are, that is they have to change the parenchyma status of the lung, that is ARDS. There will be fluid in the alveoli, static compliance will decrease, the lungs are not wanting to inflate. Atelectasis, obesity, pneumothorax, tension pneumothorax, or in this condition it is hard to inflate lung, that is lung is not wanted to inflate, so compliance is decreased. So anything that decreases static compliance obviously will decrease dynamic compliance, but because dynamic compliance includes static compliance, but the things that will increase the resistance of the provided by airways will only decrease the dynamic compliance, not the static compliance. Example: bronchospasm, bronchial asthma, air obstruction by foreign body, ET tube insertion, ET tube kinking. This will increase the resistance provided by the airways, so they will decrease the dynamic compliance, that is the lung is not wanting to inflate, but the static compliance is normal in those conditions. So this is that you should know. The volumes, the PFT will be discussed in the second part, PFT analysis part. This is what should you know in the physiology part. Okay, this much is enough for physiology. For detailed explanation of physiology, go to old videos. Not much important in the clinical part. In clinical part, you should just know PFT analysis, what are the drugs to be given, what are the clinical presentation, investigation to be done for any disease, not this fucking mechanism and the anatomy behind this.